Huh? Dave? Oh? Huh? Durr?
Hey now, and welcome down to KC Toy Reviews. We are here today with Boba Fett from The Mandalorian, one of the most exciting episodes of the season, directed by Robert Rodriguez. That's right, a badass episode and a badass figure right in front of us. So as always, let's go ahead and dive right in. Alright, so here we have it. Boba Fett from The Mandalorian. And what do we all wait? 30 years or something to see this guy debut after his atrocious death in Return of the Jedi? Han Solo just whacks his backpack and he falls into the pit. Obviously, it's amazing to see him redeem his arc, come back in full swing, not only full swing within The Mandalorian, but he has his own series now. I was a fan of the Boba Fett series. The last episode, I think there was a divided, opinion on that one. I was more of the naysayer. I thought it was garbage crap. I thought it was just terrible. I was bitching and moaning the whole episode. My wife had to tell me to shut up over and over. It was just a ridiculous battle time killer episode when there could have been just so much more justice done. We didn't need to see a battle for an hour going on in the streets. It was ridiculous. So I'm not going to go on a rant about that. This is about the figure in front of us from The Mandalorian. His arc in The Mandalorian was fantastic. When he got his armor from the ship, which lies in front of us, man, I think a lot of us were screaming, especially when he shot down those ships at the end. And of course, quote unquote, by accident, he shot them both down. He hit one of them, and it crashed into the other one. But man, I know I was screaming, and I know a lot of fans out there were screaming. So I had to have the figure, and they did a great job. Now, as always, I am very blunt and honest. I pulled this thing out of the package not too long ago. Not that I was disappointed, it's just that there was a few things that threw me off. For starters, the proportions and the size between the arms, the helmet, and the body. I'm probably crazy and unpopular opinion, but something is slightly off. I'm sure that there are mods that are going to be going on out there that fix it, but there's just something off between the helmet, the arms, and the body. There's this fat suit underneath all the clothes. So there was a little bit of a disappointment when I picked him up because I kind of thought, similar to maybe the heavy Mando, that he would have had some weight to him. However, he had no weight at all. He almost felt like hollow. So I picked him up. I was a little bit shocked at the weight of him. Does the weight matter? No. I'm sure people can bark at me and the weight doesn't matter. For some reason, it bothered me a little bit. The next step would be, again, there was a little bit of just disjointed proportions. Something was slightly off. The head was either too big, the arms are too skinny. The fat suit does work. Again, there's something about the trio that would just throw me off. Next being underneath his leg here is like this weird paper. It's literally like paper. I could rip it. I don't know if it's something I could sit here and knock on too much, but it was just an odd choice to include paper on our figure when we paid $250, $260. You couldn't have upgraded that material, so a little bit of an odd choice there. And then the last knock was the stand. Now, I am shocked of all the people in the groups and the reviews that nobody is concerned or mentioning the stand. I think the stand is one of the biggest pieces of crap stands Hot Toys has ever included. Let's switch shots and I'm going to show you why. So for starters, he's at this odd angle. If you immediately just clip him, he's at this odd angle. You have to finagle the stand and kind of push it back a little bit to get him to stand straight up on this rock. So the first knock is, for Hot Toys to include from where my finger goes to right around here, that much extra bass on there. Just 15%, 20% more. What would it have cost them? $2. I mean, literally $2 to $6 between the material and the labor cost. $2 to $6 to extend this stand. Yet they included a stand where he has to essentially hover over the edge. And I dare to say anybody that has him here and don't have him in that kneeling position with the foot here, his toes are always going to be hanging off. And then for some reason, I'm one of those guys, I'm anal about stuff like that. And I was like, why the hell didn't they just make this a little bit bigger so his toes weren't hanging off? Because the stand itself is actually really nice. The detail and the rock and the grass here. We haven't had a custom stand like this with a hot toy, my God, in a long time. I mean, really, it's a long time. Once in a while, once in a blue moon, we get a custom stand. So was really shocked that we didn't get some extra room. Last and most devastating is that, yeah, I was able to get him to stand up and finagle this and make the stand work. I could not get this part to grab in any other area other than the waist here, right? And based off of where the jetpack sits, you really, I bet you 90% of the people there are grabbing this leather belt here. After 24 hours, it left an insane indent and mark within that leather belt. So you're telling me you're going to give me a waist grabber that grabs his leather belt and essentially destroys it over time? Just really perplexed by the team over there at Hot Toys. Man, I would love to sit on that meeting and hear them go, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have the stand grab his leather belt and, to cut down costs, we're going to have it just hover just gently under his foot there. And his tippy toes might hang over, but nobody's going to give a crap. They're still going to pay that $250. I mean, essentially, that's how the conversation went. You couldn't have given us a little bit more? Included maybe, I've seen it happen before. I've seen people include it where you give us a waist grabber, I can slide it off, or slide back down a crotch grabber. Because again, this is going to damage it. So essentially, this stand is garbage and a waste. I will never use this stand. I've already purchased a custom stand coming in because I think the figure is great. So, really perplexed on that stand choice that they included. Now, before we swing him forward, I just want to note I have owned every 1/6 Boba Fett figure you can think of. And all of them have had this atrocious system to put the backpack on. And hallelujah, we went magnet. Hot Toys finally went magnet on this thing. And actually, you could see these little holes. Oh! All right, he's back up. And you can see these little holes here. If you've ever owned a Boba Fett before, you actually had to get the latches to hook on here. No magnet system. And if you're a big guy, it was ridiculous trying to do so. So thank God we have gone to this fantastic magnet system. Under the right lens, depending on your level of photography skills, you could probably get this into some photorealistic shots that you wouldn't be able to tell that it was from a movie or not. They've done that good of a job. Again, I might have nitpicked a little bit on the proportions, but kicking that aside, the details in the paint scheme, the 3D printed chest, everything they've done there is absolutely outrageous. I always love the contrast between the leather, the cloth, the plastic, the paint, the weather look to him. There's just these amazing layers and depth to the figure that they've done a stellar job at. Now, as far as the body itself, other than the weird little paper underneath here, you have the knee rocket launcher that he used in the episode here, another leather kind of belt around there. It came with 2 of these knee rocket launchers. I'll show off the accessories in a little bit, so you can put another one on the other side there. The scarf, interestingly enough, actually has a wire in it. Not sure why. I can understand if it came down and you wanted to blow in the wind or something, but it does just kind of wrap around the neck, so it was an interesting choice that we had a wire there. But hey, I guess any extra level of detail, we will take it. And while we are on the subject of the head, it is completely hollow underneath. So just to kind of note, and I'm probably going to drop him. Come on here. Jesus Christ. Don't drop. There you go. So completely hollow underneath here. Now, if you see here, they did go next level in details within the helmet itself. So I don't know how many people were actually going to take it off and look inside, but crazy that they did do that. So, and they do have this kind of weird little knob on top here. The first time you ever kind of seen anything like this of this sort from Hot Toys. So kind of an interesting choice, but it works and it fits really snug. It feels well. You have good articulation and movement to it. So overall, as I mentioned, it works. Just a quick thing to note on this side, you do have the gun holster, little magnet piece basically holding that there. Swing back down. I have the gun in his hand right now, but if you want, you can actually holster it and put it there. And then the tubes here that they put, amazing detail that go right down to the flamethrower on his hand there. And lastly, let's pull it in and take a look at the stellar job they've done on the weathering. I saw some stupid comments when this thing was on pre-order that it looked like seagull doo-doo. It definitely does not look like seagull doo-doo. I think it looks amazing. I think at first glance, it just looks like some paint slapped on it. They did weathering, but it is definitely layers upon layers. And the reason I say that is there's actually some feel and 3D depth to it. So some of the weathering was actually printed within it. So the scratches and the dent. So the film doesn't pick it up as good as it looks in person. So there are little scratches and dents. And then on top of that, they've added kind of the paint scheme and the weathering look to it. So overall, it looks incredible. And the artists over there at Hot Toys have done a stellar job on this armor. And here we have the ridiculous amount of fire accessories. You have fire that can come out of his knee. You have fire that can come out of his rocket pack. You can have fire that looks like he's blasting off of the ground. Believe it or not, in the deluxe version, there's fire that comes out of his ass. I didn't get that version, so I don't have those extra flames. And then, of course, you have this here. When he wanted to transmit and prove, yes, I want to show you, Mandalorian, I am a Mandalorian. That's weird to say that he's calling the other guy a Mandalorian, proving that he's a Mandalorian. Is that what he called him? The hell did Boba Fett call him a Mandalorian? Anyways, this is where he proved himself. So this says something. I don't know what the hell it says, but it probably says something cool. Mandalorian text. Now, I needed to get these guys next to each other, and for no reason other than pure excitement. To the left, obviously, we have Boba Fett prior to falling in the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi, and to the right, after he found his armor on the Mandalorian ship in The Mandalorian. So we have this amazing contrast side by side to see where he came from and where he is now. And man, it is exciting to have them both next to each other just to see old school Boba Fett, new Boba Fett, and they are both still badass. Hot Toys knocked it out of the park with both of them. Slight differences, as I mentioned, the armor isn't just immediate print / copy paste. Even right down to where the dent is on the helmet is slightly different than the one on the left. But I'm not going to go too much into detail. Just really excited and wanted to show the difference between the two. And no, you should have them both next to each other because they complement each other amazingly. And wow, I'm excited to have them side by side, finally on my shelf. And there we have it. What a fantastic figure Hot Toys has given us. We knew it was going to be amazing. Again, Hot Toys has set the bar for expectational figures. Were there a little bit of drawbacks? Sure. Can you slap me in the face and say I'm nitpicking it? Absolutely. Because at hand and what's in front of us looks phenomenal. There's slight proportional things that are off in my opinion. Was I disappointed that the weight was off? Sure, was the stand one of the biggest piece of crap garbages I've ever seen in my life? Unfortunately, yeah. It's almost as if they're setting us up for failure. Hot Toys has given us stands to destroy our figures and damage them so that we have to buy more. I mean, I couldn't think of any other reason why they would give us a stand that would damage the figure outside of the box and let his feet hover over the edge just slightly, like he's at the edge of a cliff. You could just give me 1 or 2 more inches. Just give me a little bit more room. But instead, I had to go buy a $30 or $40 additional custom stand. A little bit of a high price point, but I'm going to pay it because I love the show. The Mandalorian is one of the best new franchises to come out of the Disney Star Wars era, especially Rogue One, Mandalorian. The new Boba Fett show was good, except for the last piece of crap episode, but yeah, we're on a roll with all that stuff, so I needed to have this figure in front of us. I think this is going to probably go up a little bit. Reason being is there's not going to be much other weathered versions out there. They're all going to be that clean, armored version, throne version, and the other 150 versions that they already have. But there are only this and then the double pack, which I didn't get the double pack. I cheaped out. I'm not a big face sculpt guy, and I know they killed it on that face sculpt. And then, of course, after watching the Boba Fett series, and I obviously pre-ordered way before that series was out, I was like, maybe I should have got the double pack because they really played out that Tusken scene and why he got those robes and the stick, and I regretted it a little bit. Nonetheless, I stuck with the single pack, and I'm still thrilled with it. I'm excited to have it on my shelf, and it will be there for years to come. Now, with that said, the score at mind, prior to it coming in, I'm not going to lie, the pictures I was seeing, I thought this thing was going to be in the 9s, but after the stand and a couple of the just slight shortcomings, it kicked it down a little bit. It kicked it down to an 8.7 out of 10. It's still a fantastic figure. It's an amazing piece of art. Like I mentioned, dependent on your photography skills, this thing looks real under the right lens. So, that's it for us here today. KC Toys, 8.7 out of 10. Boba Fett, Mandalorian, chubby Mandalorian.